Michael McDowell took that personally. On a recent episode of his podcast, between trying to stay flustered and generally telling everybody why he's right, Denny Hamlin mentioned that Michael McDowell doesn't really stand a chance to make the playoffs because Chase Elliott is good on road courses, completely ignoring the fact that Michael McDowell is actually good on road courses, and we've heard that multiple times. It's literally been shoved down our throats by Fox and NBC and every media member that wants to tell us about it, and it finally did pay off. He is actually good at road courses, but Denny wrote him off, saying, spoiler alert, Chase Elliott's good on effing road courses. Take a listen to the clip real quick.
Right, so he's racing McDowell and Bubba.
So you're saying that Chase Elliott can't make up 40 points on McDowell in the next 4 races?
I'm not saying he can't, but McDowell's three strongest tracks, or two road courses and a super speedway, are coming up in this final.
Breaking news: Chase Elliott's good on fucking road courses. What are you talking about?
Turns out Michael McDowell went all Michael Jordan and took that shit personally because he went out there and absolutely laid it on the field Sunday at Indianapolis. A complete dominating performance. Led 54 laps. Didn't even look like anybody else was in contention with him. Over the last stint of that race, he just kind of cruised around. Let Chase Elliott get a little bit close, and contrary to what Chase Elliott fans say, he was never really going to get Michael McDowell. Chase ran an average lap time of 90.79 over the last 15 laps of that race. Michael McDowell, on the other side, ran an average lap time of 90.89. So Chase was a tenth faster over those 15 laps. He was never going to catch Michael McDowell, and anytime he got a little bit closer, Michael just stepped it up again. He was conserving his stuff, just like he said. And Chase Elliott fans are here to say, oh, well, if he would have got through the lap traffic better, if he wouldn't have got so unlucky with lap traffic, if Daniel Suarez didn't knock him out of the way earlier in the race, he would have gone on to win. He wouldn't have. It just is what it is. The 34 car and Front Row Motorsports did their homework. They went out and they beat Hendrick Motorsports straight up on speed, something that you don't see happen very often from a small team like that. It happens. Every now and then, little things like this, little guys, I should say, do big things. And that's exactly what Front Row did on Sunday, proving everybody wrong. And I guess we should have seen it coming, right? I'm a Michael McDowell doubter, for sure, on road courses. He, of course, has that Xfinity Series win on a road course with Richard Childress Racing, but at the same time, it's like, is he really going to carry that over to the Cup Series? He's never been in great equipment, and granted, we have seen great road course drivers take mid-tier equipment and make it race-winning equipment. AJ Allmendinger has done it twice now with two different teams. Marcos Ambrose did it, so it can be done, and we just haven't seen Michael be able to take that step to being in contention to win. Contention for top 5, sure. Contention for top 10, almost always. During the next-gen era, he has an average finish on road courses of 9.1. Really phenomenal. Incredibly phenomenal for a team that doesn't typically run in the top 10. Granted, this year is a bit of an outlier as they continue to be rather impressive with what they're doing. But at the same time, Denny Hamlin saying that Chase Elliott's good on road courses isn't a lie. Chase Elliott's a 7-time winner on road courses. Granted, he doesn't have any wins on a road course in the new Gen 7 car. All of those came with the Gen 6 car when Hendrick got to run that track attack program, but that's a completely different story. We're not even going to touch that right now, even though Chase Elliott fans will say it had nothing to do with it. And whatever, you can believe what you want to believe. But at the same time, Michael McDowell goes out there and continues to put in good drives. And all we always hear, right? Michael McDowell's good on road courses. Michael McDowell could be your, dark horse winner this weekend. And each time we go to a road course, it doesn't happen. He might contend for a top 5, like I said, but he's never really there. This is the weekend he was there. He was fast in qualifying, fast in practice, fast in qualifying, qualifies 4th, gets the lead, and never really looks back. Made the perfect moves when he needed to. When he got around Suarez going through, I don't know, what is that, turn 13 and 14 before you get out on the front stretch, or 14 and 15, however they number it. He looked really impressive. Michael McDowell was feeling it. And he even said on Denny's podcast, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but you can go listen to Actions Detrimental if you want to. He mentioned that after Chicago, he got really pissed off that Shane Van Gisbergen was able to go in there and beat their asses as handily as they did. Or butts. Michael McDowell would rather you say butts versus, asses. But he was mad about that, and then he was mad about what Denny said, where, basically wrote him off from making the playoffs because Chase Elliott was going to win on a road course, or at that point, when Denny said that, Chase still had the opportunity to point his way in, and obviously finishing good on road courses was a good way for him to eat up some points. Granted, Michael also good on road courses. So, having said all of that, Michael got annoyed. He was mad about getting beat by a guy making his first career start, and then he was mad at what Denny said, and he, like I said, took it personally. Took a page right out of Michael Jordan's playbook and went to work and got fired up about it. And he goes out there and wins in dominating fashion. Like, it never really seemed like Suarez was maybe the only other guy that could compete with him. Obviously, a bad pit stop basically doomed Suarez for the day. but Chase was never going to get to him. He got within a second, and that was basically what he could do on Sunday. AJ Allmendinger maybe could have been in contention, but he got mired back in the field after 2 incidents, so he was never really in contention as well. And then you have, a couple other guys that didn't really have the speed to keep up. The 34 car was just in a league of their own, which was, I want to say, surprising because they are a small team, right? They're a mid-tier team, and mid-tier at best most weekends, and they've really stepped up their game. And doing it with a first-year crew chief is massively impressive. So, good on Michael McDowell. He went out there and shut everybody up. Chase Elliott fans were still going to continue this revisionist history and narrative that they would have had a shot at winning if it hadn't been for lap cars. But realistically, when you look at the final 20 laps even of that run, Michael McDowell stopped turning top 5 fastest laps with about 18 laps to go. And from that point on, he basically cruised. He would let Chase Elliott, gain 3 or 4 tenths, and then he would answer back by going back up on Chase Elliott 3 or 4 tenths. And it was just kind of this cat and mouse back and forth. And then there at the end, he was just basically cruising. And they'll say that, Chase could have got to him if he wouldn't have got laps. He wouldn't have. McDowell was always going to win that race if it went green to the end, which it did. A late race caution obviously could have changed things up a little bit, but Michael McDowell going out there and silencing Denny Hamlin. And then credit to Denny and his co-host Jared for having Michael McDowell on the podcast to talk about it. Because it's a guy that doesn't get a lot of airtime, right? He comes from a small team. He's not flashy. He's, a bit of an outlier in terms of maybe what the new age NASCAR driver and fan are. Uber religious, has a bunch of kids. I did not realize he has that many kids. Good for he and his wife. That's way too many personally, because it's more than 0. But good for him. Happy that he got to have his family there. That was super exciting for him. For Front Row, this is major, right? Front Row's wins have been at Talladega with David Reagan, a fog-shortened race with Chris Buescher at Pocono, and then the Daytona 500 with Michael McDowell in 2021. To win on a track that wasn't rain-shortened, but to go out there and just straight up beat people on speed, just completely win it on merit, that's impressive. That's so impressive for a team of that size with that budget and that personnel. He mentioned they don't even have a Hawkeye system, which is the laser scanning system that NASCAR uses to check the legality of the body and the underbody of the car. So these guys are going out there and doing it, I don't want to call it the old school way, but they're doing it without all of the tools that these big teams have. And it's crazy impressive. So good for Michael McDowell going out there and shutting up the haters. He's in the playoffs now. He was probably going to be in regardless. He was likely going to point his way in. But putting yourself in with a win, getting yourself those 5 playoff points, huge for those guys. Got Front Row Motorsports their first ever stage win, which is crazy when you think about it because stages have been a part of NASCAR since 2017 as well. So overall, good for those guys. And anytime you can kind of shut Denny Hamlin up, it's a good day for the sport. So like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at BreakHardBlog.